It has been 790 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks. Hold your horses, guys. Because first things first, it seems like we're getting confirmed. The timeline keeps striking green, guys. Why? You guys remember when I drew my squiggly line prediction? We're literally almost there. This is a USDT.dominance chart, folks, right? If I could just see, okay, I wanted to mention my last XRP buy, literally my last ever, guys, will be here soon. If I could see XRP around maybe 49.50 cents, okay? It's going to be my last buy purchase ever, guys, and no more. Why? Because that's it. I'm already set, guys, right? And I believe this will probably be some type of higher low, guys, right, from the previous low, like this. So you guys can see the low, right, or the highs here, guys, right, the next low right there. Such as for Bitcoin, it will be something like this, guys, right? It would be let's see here. So that's a low, a higher low somewhere like up there, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm still being patient, and if I do see my prediction play out, guys, I'm going to be buying more XRP before the run actually happens, guys, because look at this. This comes from Income Sharks. Bitcoin, if September isn't the local bottom, then it's probably time to move away from the structure, right? So I said this a while back ago, guys, my prediction, right, for the chart, not only from my perspective, but other analysts are talking about the same thing, guys, right? Look at that. The same thing, right? So, but we called it first. Not to mention, today, on the 5th of each month, guys, we've seen a dump occur. So hopefully they just dump it and get it over with, guys, over with. Good times are on the horizon, guys. After this dump is completely over, again, my last purchase will be here soon. Why? Because I believe the markets will soar high on eagle's wings. You guys want to know why? A 50 basis point rate cut in September is likely per city, guys. When you look at that, so they are suggesting that a 50 basis point rate cut, guys. Did I say rate hike? No, I meant cut, right? So 50%, or 0.50%, guys. Cuts is on the table, right? It's a possibility. If this happens, by the way, the markets are going to dramatically soar and never die until one day it truly does. It has been 790 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks. Longest yield curve inversion in history started in 2022. It ends today. What happens next? May you guess? May you wonder? Look at that, guys, right? This has been the longest yield curve inversion in history, started in 2022, guys, right? Wait, what? What does that mean? Well, let's listen to this, guys, okay? This yield curve inversion is worse than 1929 and 2008. It's time to what? Buckle up. So after, guys, okay, here's my game plan. You guys want to know my entire game plan? I'm going to literally lay it right here, guys, for you guys to see. Please like today's video. And subscribe if you guys haven't already, guys. I know there's a lot of lines, but what do I believe will occur, right? I thought, to be honest, from that point we're going to dump like that, then go here, guys, right? That's going to be the bottom of the market, right? The top for the USDT.dominance chart, guys, right? We are basically right there, guys. This should be the top, I believe, for this chart, and the bottom for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and every other coin, guys. But instead, what I think will happen now is we go down like this, guys, right? All the way down there, but then we go possibly all the way back, guys, and then all the way down, right? This portion right here will be the recession territory, right? So that's my game plan right now. I know things are going to get very volatile soon, guys, but whenever I see a bullish divergence like this, guys, right? So this comes back down like that. That's where I'm out of the markets for every other coin except XRP, right? XRP will probably still hold just because I feel safe holding it during recessions, guys, right? I just do. This isn't financial advice, but please like today's video and let's go. It's actually, this video is actually terrifying. You guys ready? I haven't watched it. I'm going to watch it with you guys, but the reason I know it's terrifying is because this is worse than 1929, 2008, guys. So that means the money printing, or the money they're going to print, is probably going to be 20, 30 trillion whenever the recession strikes. But guess what? That's where we get rich and wealthy, because that's when we buy back in. You guys understand? Shh.
Yield curve in the United States uninverted in the month of August. That means the yield curve went from being below zero, which is called an inversion, and into positive territory. This is a signal that occurred in May of 2007, a few months before the start of the global financial crisis, and in November of 2000, a few months before the 2001 recession began.
Let me point something out. You guys see how when it got uninverted, guys, right? The recession didn't immediately occur. It actually took a bit longer, guys. The gray bars are the recessions, if I'm mistaken, right? So this needs to accelerate higher than the recession.
In fact,
strikes.
every single time that this signal was triggered throughout history, it was right before an economic downturn in the United States. Even right before the Great Depression in the 1930s, the yield curve uninverted in October of 1929, right at the onset of the Great Depression. The reason this works so well is because the yield curve essentially shows us how financial markets are currently pricing in the state of the labor market. You can see the unemployment rate highlighted right here follows the exact path of the yield curve at any given point in time. When the yield curve is inverted, like in these instances, it means the labor market is very hot, and that often coincides with the moment where the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates and tightening monetary policy to cool down the labor market. As the yield curve uninverts and steepens, it means the Federal Reserve is loosening monetary policy because the labor market is cooling down and the unemployment rate is typically rising. And you can see this time has absolutely not been any different. We have the yield curve that's steepening and coming out of an inversion right as the unemployment rate in the United States has really begun to move higher. So does that mean that we're in the process of entering a recession where the yield curve is likely to steepen and the unemployment rate is likely to rise? Because if that's the case, that would be very concerning for the stock market. The yield curve...
We called it back in November 2023. I promise to you guys, no one else is calling it like we are. Why? You want me to show you why? I'll show you right. I'll show you why right now. Let me find the chart, guys. It comes from simply this chart, which is the unemployment rate. We go to the 6 monthly. Literally, there's a bullish divergence. I'm not moving, no lines, nothing, guys. There's a bullish divergence right here, right? A bullish divergence, which would mean that point probably has marked the bottom, right, for some time, which would mean this would skyrocket higher. This is the unemployment rate, which suggests a recession is incoming when it spikes, right? And we called it so long ago, guys, but people are starting to catch up.
Curve steepening throughout 2023 brought the stock market down for a 10% correction. The yield curve steepening that we had between June and August of 2024 also brought the S&P 500 down for a 10% correction. If the yield curve were to continue steepening, it would need more recessionary fears and it would bring the S&P 500 down as that's happening. Now, eventually, we think that's the direction that we're going to be heading into. And the stock market correction that we saw throughout the month of July and August was just a little bit of a taste of what's actually going to happen when the recession materializes. But you can see what's been happening more recently is that the yield curve has actually cooled back down and the stock market as a result has been able to recover. This is what you call a whipsaw signal, and it's definitely not the first time that we've witnessed this. If we rewind to 2006, you can see it inverted initially in February of 2006. Then the yield curve began to uninvert, and this actually coincided with a brief correction in the stock market. Now look at what happened right after that. The yield curve reinverted as the recession was postponed, and that allowed the S&P 500 to break out to new highs. Rewind to 1998, and we also saw the yield curve very briefly invert in July of 1998. That was followed by the yield curve steepening and uninverting, which also coincided with a panic in the stock market, where the S&P 500 dropped by 20% during that period. Then look at what happened. You see the yield curve reinverting as the recession was postponed, and that allowed the stock market to surge back to all-time highs. Again, let's rewind to 1989. The yield curve inverted in the first half of 1989 and then uninverted throughout the month of June and July of 1989. But yet again, you can see the recession only occurred in mid-1990. So this signal right here was actually a whipsaw signal and led to a full year where the stock market continued to trend higher. So basically, over the last 40 years, we've had 3 whipsaw signals associated with yield curve inversions. So is that what we're witnessing today, where this was only a brief whipsaw signal that would allow the stock market rally to continue higher like it did in these instances? Right now,
look at that, guys. That literally... That's the same exact thing with our, look at that, guys. That's literally the same exact thing with what? Our theory, right? So let me, hold on 1 second, guys. Let me put this back into, look at this. Again, this would match up with what we just talked about, right? How this chart should dump, which means the blow off top for cryptos and stocks will be coming up soon, right? Which matches up with that yield curve, guys, going back down, right? But then when the recession strikes, it's going to skyrocket out of here, guys, right? So I'm hoping that plays out. Because I know for a fact they're going to throw this black swan out there, guys, so we may as well take advantage of it. Not financial advice.
Oh, that's exactly what seems to be happening. And this is what we warned our members about right as the yield curve was uninverting and you had everyone talk about a recession. The problem at that moment for us was that there was no clear catalyst that was pushing the economy into a recession. You see, every single recession that we've witnessed throughout U.S. financial history has been triggered by some kind of a catalyst. In 1990, it was the invasion of Kuwait that triggered an oil shock. In 2000, it was the tech bubble that burst, where millions of tech jobs were lost, dragging the economy into a recession. And in 2007, it was the housing bubble that was bursting that led to a collapse in consumer spending and consumer confidence, which again led the economy into a recession. Now, don't get me wrong, the economy...
Look at that, guys. So there's going to... it's all planned, by the way. The next one, when it happens, is going to be triggered by a black swan event, which we can't foresee, but they can because they plan it out, guys. So before that occurs, let's take full advantage of this next leg higher soon, hopefully.
Economy is ripe for a recession. We think it's only a matter of time before this chart starts to look something like this. This has actually been the longest yield curve inversion since 1929, where the yield curve was inverted for over 700 days. This is a chart that we've shown before, plotting the number of days where the yield curve was inverted against the size of the market drawdowns that you typically see in the recession that follows. When the yield curve is inverted for a shorter period of time, it leads to shallower stock market corrections because the recessions are not as severe. When the yield curve is inverted for a longer period of time, it suggests that monetary policy has probably been too tight for too long, which historically has caused some pretty severe market drawdowns like the 1974, the 2008, and 1929 crashes. Today we are around here, which in our opinion puts the market at risk of a massive drawdown when the recession actually materializes. Now, I'm not going to get into our...
No one is calling it like we are, guys, right? I know we talk about a lot of different topics within this channel, right? From this aspect, guys, basically all tying to the economy. But if you guys have a good memory, we talked all about this before, right? The timeline strikes when what happens? When the Federal Reserve cut rates, but 1 to 2 month delay, then we'll maybe perhaps see a recession, maybe in December 3rd to be exact. I don't know, right? It's the same level back in 1929, guys. The yield curve inversion reached, okay? Is it going to be as bad as then? No. You know why? Because let's just say 30 trillion will be printed here soon, which means the market, the economy will do great again until one day something worse happens than this period, guys. 1929, right? It's going to be a collapse, not a recession. When it happens, it's going to be a collapse, guys, right? When we take a look at recessions, job openings declining rapidly, right? It's the same thing that happens in recessions, guys. Another metric right here: credit card defaults from small lenders hit record highs, right? So it's not looking too good for the average Joe. Oh wow, look at this. The Fed is making the worst policy mistake since 1929. This is not going to end well. Really? So this was back in 1929, guys, right? The S&P 500, the points, guys, I think this is overlapping 1929, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, guys. Though what I do know is something definitely terrifying is incoming, but that's only during the recession. Something worse that we can't even fathom will be during the collapse. Though during this roller coaster that we are enjoying, guys, let us take full advantage of it. This isn't financial advice. Please like today's video and let's go. What is so amazing? See ya. And my last purchase of XRP is here, hopefully soon. There we go.